Chapter 1. The Educational Road. The road to training to be a clinical psychologist is a long road, success not coming necessarily to the most intelligent person, but one who can endure the challenges and intensive study. While a clinical psychologist's ultimate educational goal is a PhD or PsyD, there are some general guidelines and steps you need to follow along the way. Bachelors Level. The first step is attaining your bachelor's degree in psychology. Schools usually want SAT scores of 1050 and up. As an undergraduate student, you will be required to take some core classes, including Introduction to Psychology, Basic Statistics, Theory of Personality, Research Methods, Abnormal Psychology. Depending on your interests, you can then choose certain electives, such as courses in social psychology, sexuality, cognitive psychology, and neuropsychology. While having to complete an internship at this level is rare, it is to your advantage to get involved in research groups or volunteer work, such as crisis services, child and family services, or a domestic violence hotline. This looks great on a resume, helps you get hands-on experience in the clinical psychology field, and can give you a competitive edge when applying for master's programs in clinical psychology. In your final semester, you will probably have to complete an advanced psychological seminar that culminates in a presentation of your choice, such as child, family, or group therapy. Master's Level. Once in a master's program, you can attain a better idea of what you want to specialize in, such as child psychology, school psychology, or neuropsychology. At the master's level, more clinical, hands-on experience is incorporated into the program with requirements including practicum work, an internship, thesis, or portfolio. Research experience is also highlighted here, with students having the option to take an independent study under the direction of a faculty member or professor. In some graduate programs, a mandatory comprehensive test assessing your skills in several areas is necessary to receive your master's diploma. Doctoral Level. At the doctoral level, you will get a taste of what the field really consists of. Clinical psychology students have a choice between obtaining a PhD, the most common route, or the PsyD, which focuses more on the clinical applications in the field. Both degree types take between 4 and 7 years to finish. The PsyD. The PsyD is more hands-on, focusing on direct counseling and theories in the clinical psychology field. Internships are a central component of this doctoral type, with possible locations including drug and alcohol centers, prisons, hospitals, or common mental health agencies. The PsyD is also more focused on psychological testing. The PhD. This type is more centered on preparing clinical psychology students for careers in research, academia, or general practitioners. Requiring the completion of a dissertation, the PhD is more focused on theory versus clinical experiences. One major advantage to the PhD is more availability of funding versus the PsyD. The PhD's emphasis on research opening up more avenues of financial assistance for you. Internships. Internships are the crux of the biscuit for your budding clinical psychology career. As a clinical psychology student, an internship will give you hands-on clinical experience in a variety of settings, including drug and alcohol treatment centers, hospitals, holding centers, correctional facilities or probation offices, college counseling centers, Salvation Army or domestic violence centers, community mental health agencies, LGBT agencies. While some schools will place you in an internship, some universities thrust the responsibility of attaining an internship into the student's hands. Most colleges will have professionals from internship sites come into the classroom to discuss their agency and type of experience you will receive in that environment. If you have to secure your own internship placement, it is advisable that you get an early start. Internship sites are limited, and not all of them have the proper supervision needed for program approval. Internships require a set number of hours that you must complete before you can attain your master's degree. What will I learn in an internship? Useful counseling skills. Skills such as summarizing, paraphrasing, restatement, and active listening, self-disclosure are used when counseling your clients. How to lead groups. Various techniques and stages such as blocking, resistance, cohesion, transference, trust, and the working stage will be demonstrated and explained. Documentation skills. Leading groups and private therapy sessions will require you to take case notes, what one refers to as SOAP notes, standing for subjective, objective, assessment, and plan. Proper documentation is necessary to evaluate client progress and for insurance company purposes. Insurance companies usually ask for documentation regarding the reasons one is seeking treatment and will ask you for a client diagnosis in order for them to pay for treatment. Clients that are court-mandated to get treatment often need documentation that is submitted to judges, courts, or probation officers. How to conduct a mental status exam, MSE. Documenting the first client and counselor interaction is crucial. The MSE tracks the client's current mental state, problems the individual is experiencing, and how the therapist should proceed with treatment. Reading client files. As a clinical psychologist, you will sometimes be required to read a client's previous file. Some situations that warrant this include a client who has received treatment from another therapist. It is always good to read a client's file to keep yourself abreast of a client's positive changes, relapses, and ways to adjust treatment, or for confirmation that things are on the right track. Clinical team meetings. Depending on where you are employed as a clinical psychologist, attending clinical team meetings may be required. Clinical team meetings are used to evaluate a client's progress, discuss the client's needs and support levels, offer ideas and therapy goals, and keep everybody who works with the client on the same page. If you are in private practice, it is rare that you will have to involve yourself in clinical team meetings. Fellowships. Completing a fellowship is a good way to gain additional clinical and research preparation in a specialized area of clinical psychology. It is an option that many clinical psychology PhD students take advantage of. Depending on your situation, fellowships can start a couple years into one's PhD program or after your dissertation is finished. What is a fellowship? A fellowship trains clinical psychology students in specific clinical work or an area of research, experience that is conducive to a clinical psychology student's future clinical psychology career. Fortunately, most fellowships provide compensation, which will be a major plus for you as you work to learn your craft. As with most things in life, getting a jump on things usually works to your benefit, something that is also recommended in your fellowship search. Choosing a fellowship haphazardly is not advisable. Most people begin looking for their fellowship about 3 months into their internship. Since the purpose of a fellowship is to prepare you for a future psychology career and to narrow in on one's preferred clinical research areas and specialized interests, ask yourself, what kind of environment do I want to work in? Where to look. While the first step is to talk with people who have been through it, such as professors, supervisors, and other colleagues, there are other resources available to help you select the perfect fellowship for you, one that is in line with your future professional goals. Possible fellowship sites. APPIC Postdoc Network. APA's Career List Serve. APA Monitor. Association for Psychological Science, APS Employment Network. Association for Psychological Postdoctoral Internship, APPIC, website. Journals and conferences. As with getting admitted into a master's program, securing a fellowship also requires you to go through the interview process. While the people training you for a fellowship want to make sure you are a good candidate, The fellowship interview is also an opportunity for you to assess how good of a fit the fellowship is for you.